What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So, tonight's AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view, man, this was a very, how do I put it? A very fun, entertaining pay-per-view. For me, I enjoyed it. I can see why some people really didn't care too much for this pay-per-view, with the exception of several few matches. Of course, the build to this pay-per-view by some felt very lackluster and just not a lot of into it. I could see that. But overall, man, this was a fun pay-per-view, especially, I don't know what it is about wrestling pay-per-views that happen either on a holiday or right before a holiday, like the day before a holiday. Like, this was a fun pay-per-view for a Sunday night. You know, tomorrow is going to be Memorial Day, so it's just a nice, nightcap for the weekend and going into Memorial Day and honoring those who've served in our country and everything. But man, this was a fun pay-per-view. There was a point during this pay-per-view, I gotta say, man, you could say the Adam Cole match, the ending of the Adam Cole match, little bit of the most of the Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, FTR match up until the point where Karen Jarrett hit Aubrey Edwards with a guitar shot. But man, you could say from the end of the Adam Cole match, the way that ended was just like, all the way till, man, you could say, man, all the way till the House of Black acclaimed Billy Gunn match. Actually, no. You could say up until that point, because once the House of Black, the acclaim match happened, then it just, you felt the shift in the crowd getting more energetic and just enthusiastic about the pay-per-view. But again, I know that was one of the big topic discussions on social media. Oh, this crowd is quiet and so on and so on. You're starting to see that a lot in wrestling crowds, and I think it all depends on just the day, the timing, the event, the build, so on and so on. So it varies from event, city, promotion. I know there was also a lot of talk of, man, will AEW be back in Vegas, next year? Of course, there was a lot of people that were going to Double or Nothing that were saying, man, the hotel rooms are expensive, the tickets, they're kind of pricey. Man, it's hard to find room and board to stay there, for the weekend, Double or Nothing, man, what's it going to do? So it's interesting to see where AEW goes after this Double or Nothing. Of course, they've had this Double or Nothing here in Vegas. It was the inaugural event back in 2019 when Jon Moxley debuted. We'll get into that a little bit later. But man, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. There's a lot of things that stuck out to me, and I'm going to discuss them in this review. A lot of things that I'm looking forward to going forward in AEW, but also we got to keep in mind that with this pay-per-view that we're kind of now going into the new direction somewhat of where AEW is going. I don't want to say new direction, but more of a expansion direction of AEW. Of course, you have the AEW Collision pay-per-view debut happening June 17th, which I will be attending. Woohoo! So you have that. You have been having talk as far as the roster split and things like that. So I always felt that this pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, was kind of like a season finale of all the stories from Full Gear, going into tonight, and it does feel that way. Of course, you're gonna have some storylines that are gonna, continue from this pay-per-view. For overall, it does feel like, okay, now we're going into that new direction of Collision, and then literally a week later you have Forbidden Door. That's going to be interesting how that plays out. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this pay-per-view. It was fun. There was a return. It wasn't the return that people have been anticipating for the past several weeks. We'll get that, later on next month. So just got to wait, be patient. But man, we had several title changes, and man, this was a fun pay-per-view. For me, I like one of the things I liked about this pay-per-view was I did watch Night of Champions yesterday, and what I liked about this pay-per-view was that it was a complete alternative to what if you watch Night of Champions or not, it's understandable. But if you watch Night of Champions in WWE, like, it was a nice alternative to WWE. And I think that's something that I'm starting to appreciate more with pro wrestling, especially with AEW, is that it's not WWE. It's giving me something different. There's certain things that I like about WWE, and there's certain things that I like about AEW. And the best thing I like about it is they're not the same. That's what makes it enjoyable to watch both products. And tonight was no different, man. That Anarchy in the arena match was wild. I wouldn't say it was just as wild as last year's. It had its own uniqueness, and it stood out. But man, let's get into these things that stood out to me from this pay-per-view. Starting off, you had Chris Statlander return, and she upset Jade Cargill. Kind of seen it coming. I tweeted like 4 minutes before she showed up. I was like, oh no, that was Takesha. Forgive me, guys. It's been that was a 4-hour pay-per-view. Forgive me, guys. But I kind of sensed like, a few people were mentioning Statlander, and I'm like, she might be showing up. That's interesting. So the way this went down, Jade Cargill, she defeated Taya Valkyrie. Mark Sterling gets on the mic. He's like, nobody can beat this streak. Nobody, open challenge, whoever it is, anytime, any place. Music hits, and it's Chris Statlander. And she looks phenomenal. She looks in great shape. And she comes down to the ring, and Jade Cargill's like, you know what? Let's do this. After this match, Chris Statlander hits her with the, what was it? The Midnight, I believe, was it the Midnight Fever? That's what her finishing move's called. Hits it 1, 2, 3. That crowd erupted. And like I said in the beginning of this review, when this happened, that's when this crowd really just got into it. And it was smart placement because this match happened right before the Four Pillars match. So it was just like, And as this pay-per-view was going, I was like, man, why are they having... Wow, that's interesting that they're having Jade higher on the card than the AEW Women's title. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Of course, I don't think it was... I know most fans, it's shade. It's like, no, it wasn't shade or anything. But I thought it was interesting. I'm like, man, okay, we might see somebody, like, debut. And I kid you not, when Mark Sterling issued the challenge, and what I also noticed about this pay-per-view is that up until that point, there was no post-match, like, shenanigans or talking or beatdowns or anything like that. So this was the first time during a pay-per-view where someone grabbed the mic and started talking after the match was over. So I'm like, okay, somebody's coming. And sure enough, Chris Statlander came down. I actually thought it was going to be Jordynne Grace. Of course, there was news happening yesterday that Jordynne Grace is finishing up in Impact Wrestling. So is she going to resign? Is she going to go elsewhere? We don't know. We shall see. So thinking, man, it could be Jordynne Grace. But then it was like, music hit. I was like, that's Chris Statlander. So we have a new TBS champion. I hope this is their way of putting Jade Cargill in the world title picture. It's long overdue for Jade Cargill to be in the world title picture in the women's world title picture. So hopefully this is her way of going after that and, getting her involved in the Outcast Originals feud that we've been anticipating. Hopefully that happens. Fingers crossed. It should be. So you have that. Plus it helps bring some freshness to the TBS championship. Jade Cargill did a wonderful job of elevating it. So now it's like, okay, it's been Jade's turn. Now it's time for, Chris Statlander and, the other women to, get their shine and everything. So I'm really interested to see where they go with the TBS championship after this, now that Jade Cargill has her first loss. So that's going to be really interesting. Again, I hope this elevates Jade Cargill into the AEW Women's Championship. It needs it. She would be a nice breath of fresh air in the division that has somewhat been lacking that star power in the division. And by that, I mean, granted, Britt Baker, everyone involved in the Outcast Originals, they're stars in their own right, but it just feels like Jade would add another element to that rivalry and to the AEW Women's Championship world title picture. So that's going to be interesting going forward. And happy to see Chris Statlander back. She was on a roll before her last injury. She looks healthy. So who's going to challenge for? Is Jade Cargill going to ask for a rematch, or is she going to move on? So there's a lot of questions surrounding this. And, is there going to be an influx of a few new women wrestlers on AEW, considering AEW Collision and a potential brand split, transfer porter? So we shall see. Moving on. And this actually ties into what I was talking about with Chris Statlander and Jade Cargill. Toni Storm defeated Jamie Hayter to become the new women's champion. It was reported, I believe, for the past several weeks that Jamie Hayter has been working, or she's been injured. And that's why you kind of seen on television where she's been on TV and kind of attacked, and they've kind of been portraying it that way. We kind of saw this coming, where Toni Storm was going to win the title if, knowing that Jamie Hayter is dealing with an injury. Quick recovery. Hope she heals well and gets well soon and everything. She is a tremendous talent. I enjoy her matches, man. She has a level of physicality and feistiness in her matches that is so refreshing, so unique. And, man, just hope that it's a quick recovery and she can return. It's unfortunate you have her being injured. You got Mercedes and I believe a few other women that are injured, man, that are really talented, really injured, and really draw people to see the program. So, man, let's hope for the best. So, interested to see what they do with Toni Storm now that she's the AEW Women's Champion. Again, are they going to inject Jade Cargill into this feud? Are they going to bring in a Jordan Grace? What's going to happen with this title? So, those are good things surrounding both the TBS Championship and the AEW Women's Championship. Who's going to be the first challenger? That whole thing, which is, for wrestling fans, that's a great thing when you have that element to a world title or, your secondary title coming out of a pay-per-view. It's like, okay, there's going to be fresh matchups and feuds, and all right, cool. And, of course, there was a report, I believe it was Sean Ross Sapp. I believe he tweeted that the women's division is going to take a different shape after Double or Nothing, which, now that we look at it, it looks that way. So I'm interested to see what AEW has in store for the women's division going forward with Collision and Dynamite, potential brand split, and the transfer portal. So interested to see what AEW does with that. So after the Adam Cole Chris Jericho match, which he won because the ref stopped it and Jericho wasn't defending himself. So Adam Cole wins. We get a promo or backstage video of Saraya and Chris Jericho calling out Britt Baker and Adam Cole and demanding a match. So Tony Khan booked it this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. We're getting Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Chris Jericho and Saraya. I'm not mad at it. I like this element that they're using. It's pretty cool. Let's see how this ties into both the AEW Women's Championship, Toni Storm winning the AEW Women's title, and Adam Cole and Chris Jericho in their feud. Are we going to see Bobby Fish somewhat return to AEW? There was recent talk of Kyle O'Reilly's, rehab, how's he going and everything, and, it was mentioned by a few media outlets that, it's going well, so that's something to look forward to. I'm looking forward to this tag team match on AEW Dynamite. I believe they had a mixed tag match on Rampage. I believe it was Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker and, oh man, who was the person he was fighting with? I believe it was Adam. Yes, it was Adam Cole. Yes. Oh my God, how did I forget that? Yeah, so it was, I believe it was Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole and Britt Baker. So interesting how all these people are involved in this pay-per-view today. So interested to see what happens with that tag match and where it goes from there and how it evolves and how it plays into Toni Storm being the AEW Women's Championship. So there's a lot of things that are just like, where is this going to go? And not in a bad way, more in a, okay, this is a new presentation. All right, I'm interested. Let's see how this goes. Then we got Orange Cassidy winning the 20-man Blackjack Battle Royal. I like this Battle Royal. This was one of the best Battle Royals in the last 10 years. One thing I liked about this Battle Royal was that in the buy-in, they had most of the entrances, if not all the, I think they had all the entrances going into, going to the ring. And as soon as the buy-in was over, you heard Excalibur, hey, if you want to watch this match and the rest of this fantastic card, order the pay-per-view now. I thought that was really clever and smart to do that. I've never seen that done for a pre-show in quite a while, maybe 10, 15, 20 years. I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe it was probably done in WCW or Sunday Night Heat or something like that, but that was really cool and clever. This was a very good Blackjack Battle Royal for the AEW International title. He wins, and again, another element where, okay, where's this going to go? Who's going to be his next challenger? It feels like Orange Cassidy, lately he's been getting injured. So it's like he's weakening. The more he defends this title, the more it takes away from him. So it's like, okay, who's going to be the guy that takes that title from him? Because it's like he's getting, the more he defends, it's taking more and more out of him. So it's like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Miro? Is it going to be Andrade? Scorpio Sky. I'm trying to think of who else. Jay White, Swerve Strickland. Is it going to be those guys? I thought those two were going to be the favorite, but I was wrong. So, interested to see where that goes with Orange Cassidy. He's been on a run. That guy has been... he has been on a run for the past... you could say for the past year. Ever since his match with Will Ospreay at last year's Forbidden Door, Orange Cassidy has been somewhat of a backbone for AEW, an underrated backbone for AEW. And he's had some very quality matches. Granted, for the past several months, he's always been the first match on Dynamite, which has kind of had its own wow, Orange Cassidy's the first match again because of the ratings and, that whole thing. I don't mind it. He's a fantastic talent. I am entertained by his matches. see where that goes. Then we had Juice Robinson and Jay White. They attacked Ricky Starks after his match. He was, disappointed that he lost, and he's just like, man, I'm always fighting these guys, this, and they just come out of nowhere, beat him up. And as they're beating him up, FTR walks in, and they run away, and they, hey, are you all right? You know what? Just come with us. So it looks like we're getting a potential trio of FTR and Ricky Starks. Not the trio I'm looking for. I'm looking for more FTR and CM Punk. We shall see where that goes. Of course, if you guys are watching this review, CM Punk posted in his IG story the AEW Collision poster with a bunch of Danhausen faces on there and a link to purchase tickets for AEW Collision. So we shall see. One thing that just came to my head, they just released t-shirts for Bullet Club Gold. Now, you only have Jay White and you have Juice Robinson. Who are the other members that are going to be added to the Bullet Club Gold? Something to think about. And one thing that AEW usually does is they'll have, their major stories, but then you have this story that's kind of like slowly builds up to where all the major stories are at. So, interested to see what happens with there and see where this goes with Ricky Starks and FTR. That's a pretty unique trio. Not bad. Not bad. I like that trio. Then the Four Pillars match. Man, oh man. This was a fantastic match. Before I get into this, congratulations to Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello. They announced during his entrance with the cue card, or the cards that he used to show on Dynamite when they had the old set and everything, they announced that they are expecting a child. Congratulations. Hope everything is a success. They looked happy. They posted on social media, so I just wish them nothing but the best and successful pregnancy for Ty Mello and everything. So he looked happy and everything. It looked like he had just, I guess because of that news, like he just had this renewed energy and like intensity and fight during this match, man. This was a fantastic match. All four guys got their stuff in, and man, I was entertained by this match. These guys, it's weird how AEW has done this. It feels like this match should have been over. Let me phrase that. I'm not gonna say it should have been. Where these guys are, even MJF. Granted, he's the world champion and everything. Some people feel that, man, this match would have been perfect for like the TNT title. Those four, wow, this would have been really dope to elevate the TNT title and then, of course, elevate them to the world title. But for the world title match, this was really awesome. Fantastic. Man, the way, what I liked about this match was because of, this was actually one of the unique things I've seen in a four-way match in quite a while, where whenever someone would do a very, their finishing move or what have you, Darby Allin does the coffin drop, and, someone else comes in and stops them. It was like that with all four men. And the way this match ended, man, this was, that was fun. Darby Allin gets on top. He's about to do the coffin drop on, I believe it was Jack Perry. MJF grabs the world title belt, which Jack Perry threw down moments before because he didn't want to use it on Darby. MJF throws it on top of Jack Perry. Darby Allin lands on it. Jack Perry rolls out the ring. MJF rolls with the pin. 1, 2, 3. He gets it. So he remains as AEW World Champion. Again, another match I meant to see where they go from here after this match. The build for this match, the initial promo was like, ooh, okay, we're going to Double or Nothing. But after that, it was just a lot of okay, this is cool. A lot of the promos really didn't have that intensity, that sense of urgency, that punctuality that the first promo had. And, it was just like, okay, this is gonna, a lot of people wish the build was a little bit better. I could see that. On the other side, for me, it was just like, okay, I get where they're trying to go with this. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see how they get there. And once they get there, let's see how this goes. And I'm more invested now to see where all four of these guys are going to go this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. And, of course, where some of these guys are going to go, Collision or what have you. So, interested to see where that happens or where that goes with these four men. But that surrounds with the whole AEW roster as far as after tonight. Like I said, this feels like a season finale of the storylines from Full Gear to now. So it's like, okay, we're building towards Collision and then Forbidden Door. So there's going to be two builds, one for Collision and then one for Forbidden Door. You're going to have a few storylines that are going to cross both. So it's like, this is going to be interesting. So then we get the Anarchy in the arena match. This was chaotically beautiful. And I don't think there's a such word as chaotically. I think I just created it right now. This was a fun match. These guys, the Blackpool Combat Club, they were coming down from the stairs through the crowd, and of course the Elite had they entered. Their entrance was done first. The Elite just runs after them. They start fighting. The pile driver in the pickup. The Moxley giving Matt Jackson the knee. The knee drop into the thumbtacks. Matt Jackson with the exploding super kick. The screwdriver in the head. Man, I'm trying to think of what else. It was just mayhem. And it wasn't as violent and chaotic and just all over the place like last year's Anarchy in the Arena match. But this fit the feud. I think that's going to be a common theme with Anarchy in the Arena match. It's going to be tailored to the feud. And after two matches, you can kind of see the difference between both. And I like it. I love it. It's just like, wow. One of the funny things was, and it was a callback to last year, that the Blackpool Combat Club, as they were entering, they had a live band play Wild Thing, and the lead singer had a mask on. I was like, man, why does this guy have a mask on? Like, is this somebody, like, what? And someone on Twitter mentioned, like, man, it's pretty funny that this guy had a mask on, and right away, I was like, that guy's probably going to get attacked. And sure enough, the way they stopped the music was the Young Bucks super kicked the lead singer, and then that's when the band stopped. So it was just like, that's funny. Because last year, for some reason, they couldn't stop the track from playing Wild Thing, so it just played while they were fighting. It was blasting and everything, and it was funny because you thought it was like, man, this is crazy. Like they're still letting this play, like what? And it was done by accident, but it actually fit the match because it was just something like out of ECW or something like that. But again, another match in AEW that at the end you're just like, okay, I want to know where this goes, and I know where this is going to go, in a way. So towards the end, the Elite had the upper hand. Kenny Omega, he was going to give a one-wing angel to Bryan Danielson. Don Callis gets in the ring. Kenny Omega turns around. He confronts him. Then a masked man enters the ring, gives Kenny Omega a running knee, takes off the mask. It's Konosuke Takeshita. He has joined the Blackpool Combat Club with Don Callis. This is going to be interesting because, one, the Blackpool Combat Club, of course, won the match, but right away, and again, there's been talk for the past couple of months, of one Kota Ibushi. Yes, Kota Ibushi. With this happening with Konosuke Takeshita helping the Blackpool Combat Club in the Anarchy in Arena match, are we eventually going to see the debut of one Kota Ibushi? Yes, the former tag team partner of Kenny Omega in the Golden Lovers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And a lot of people overlook his importance in the Bullet Club Civil War, which was Cody, Kenny Omega, and then the Elite against, the Bullet Club, and he was part of that. And also, he was in the main event in the first All-In pay-per-view. So I'm interested to see, is Kota Ibushi going to show up this Wednesday? Or is it going to be at Forbidden Door? I doubt it's going to be at Forbidden Door because, of course, it was reported there was some tension and stuff being said between Kota Ibushi said about New Japan management, the previous management. So we don't know if that's been resolved. Not our place or anything like that, but interested to see where this goes. Of course, when William Regal was with Blackpool Combat Club, they kind of said it and just left it alone about Konosuke Takeshita joining the Blackpool Combat Club, and it was mentioned, and then again, typical AEW, they'll mention it, leave it alone, and then when you least expect it, they'll bring it right back around. It's like, yo, oh man, so I'm excited for this. I like the addition of Konosuke Takeshita with the Blackpool Combat Club. There is a video circulating, might be several videos, of Kenny Omega speaking after the pay-per-view was over, and before he finished what he was saying, he's like, this isn't over. I may have one or two friends to even the odds. So is it going to be one? Is it going to be two? Who's it going to be? Who's going to join the Elite against the Blackpool Combat Club? Is it going to be just Kota Ibushi, or is it going to be Kota Ibushi and someone else? So I'm interested to see where this goes. Again, overall, this pay-per-view was a fun pay-per-view for the holiday weekend. Was it one of the best AEW pay-per-views? I wouldn't say that, but I was entertained. The crowd, I mean, it's a weird thing with wrestling crowds now in 2023, ever since the pandemic. Some want to get, some crowds are really loud and boisterous and rowdy and enthusiastic. Some just want to be somber, sit and just watch and be entertained. So it's hit or miss. But I'm interested to see what's going to transpire on AEW Dynamite. And let's see what happens. Of course, Chris Stanley is a new TBS champion. Tony Storm is a new AEW Women's Champion. FTR helped Ricky Starks. Adam Cole, Britt Baker versus Jericho and Saraya this Wednesday on Dynamite. Where does MJF go now that he's won this match with the Four Pillars? And again, with Konosuke Takeshita joining the Blackpool Combat Club, are we going to see one Kota Ibushi join the Elite and somewhat even the odds? Let's see what happens. So that is my review for AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, folks, have a safe, wonderful holiday. Remember why we celebrate this holiday. Stay safe, enjoy wrestling, and let's have some fun, wrestling fans.